Hello and welcome to our May webinar. If you don't know me, my name is Justine Chappell, Communications and Marketing Manager for ZAPP. Today, I'm going to be revealing 8 hidden hacks for using ZAPP. Some of these hacks are tips for getting the most out of ZAPP. Some are special workflows that you might find useful in your process, and some include a demonstration of new things that have been added to the site recently. So we've got a multifaceted webinar today, and I hope you learn at least a couple new things to take advantage of. We do have a few hacks for you. We've got 8, and we're going to start with, we're kind of going through the process kind of chronologically. So some of these hacks in the beginning will be more towards the beginning in the setup process or the application process, and then we'll get into some other tips for later on in the festival cycle. So let's go ahead and start with our first one. Our first hack is for you to be able to give artists the maximum amount of time to apply on the deadline date. So some festivals might have strict deadlines for the applications, and that's okay. But if you do want to give artists the most time on the date of your deadline, this tip is for you. So as you know, ZAPP's deadline date will set to the deadline at 11:59 p.m. the night of your application deadline. But you also have the ability to set the time zone so that anyone applying will have until 11:59 p.m. the night in your time zone. So I'm going to go ahead and get into our demo event here and go to the event editor. And in the event information tab here, as you know, we've got the application deadline. That's the date that you'll set for when applications are due by. And it'll be 11:59 p.m. the night, and then up here is where the time zone is. And so here is where you'll specify the time zone that you're in. But with this tip, we have the ability to set a time zone. And if you want to give an artist the max amount of time to apply on that evening that your deadline is, the tip is actually to set it to this Hawaiian Standard Time time zone so that you give your artist the most amount of time. And if you're on the East Coast, that's an extra 6 hours or so. If you're on the West Coast, 3 hours or 4 to 5 hours in the middle. So it might not seem like much. And yes, it's kind of helping artists that are waiting until the last minute to apply. But you never know what kind of barriers that the artist might be having, in which a few hours extra might greatly benefit them. So this goes even for your regular time zone, but no matter when you have set your application deadline and the time zone, just don't forget that our ZAPP support team is available during regular business hours, which is Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Time in Denver. So just keep that in mind. But if you do want to give your artists extra time to apply at that night, if you'd rather just, give them extra time, and then when you wake up in the morning and you see the applications, that will be correct for everyone. And they'll have extra hours to that night. So that's my tip there. The other thing to keep in mind with that is to make sure that when you do fill out your information in your event summary, that you are specifying what time zone you're in, even if you set it to your own time zone, so that applicants know, how long they have, what time zone is being coordinated. So my recommendation would just to say, application deadline, give them the deadline, and then give them the time zone that the time is in. Our next hack, this one is for folks who might have specific terms or condition that's really important for them, for applicants as they apply. So this tip will help you make sure that applicants are agreeing to these special terms. And that is to build custom application questions for artists to accept special terms or conditions. So in the application editor, we'll go here. This is where we're going to be talking about this. Actually, real quick, as you know, in the event editor, at the bottom, we do have 2 places, as the legal agreement is what you'll put the terms and condition for an artist to apply to the event or to the jury. But this might also include agreements for various conditions that the artists who end up participating in the event will have to agree to. And you also have the refund policy. This is a new field here. And so you can put in the refund policy that artists must agree to when they're applying. And as an artist, I'm logged in here. This is the artist side of ZAPP. Let's actually just go to a random event here. Wait for this to load. let's just click on the first one. If I apply to this show, you'll see that as an artist, I must first agree to the legal agreement in order to get to the application. So they'll read through that, they can print it if they want, and they have to say, yes, I agree in order to be taken to the application. So that's all built in. But as we know, some folks don't always read everything here. And even if they do, you might have certain things that you really want artists to pay attention to and you want their explicit agreement to in order to be able to let them through to the next phase. So in addition to putting info in your legal agreement and refund policy, you can put it in the application page and build out a custom question that allows them, or that gets them to actually read this special term that you might have. So in order to do this, what you can do is build a new question to your application. My recommendation is using the single select button, but you can also do multiple select. Single select just means they can only pick one answer. Multiple select, they can pick as many that apply to them. But in this case, which I'll show you, we'll only have one answer option. And so if I go to, I'll just put the title here, special terms, and it's going to be required for all applicants. The question I have here, I'll go ahead and copy it and paste it. And so this one's going to say, I understand that I'll not be refunded if I'm not invited to participate. By selecting yes, I acknowledge that I cannot contest my jury fee in the event that I'm not selected. So this might be something that's super important to a festival or a fair, and they want artists to understand that just because you're not invited doesn't mean you get your jury fee back. And then I'll select an answer option here, which would just be like, yes, I agree, or yes, I understand. And I'm only going to create this one answer option. And when I click create question, what I'm going to do there, since now it's at the bottom of my list here, I'm actually going to change the order so that it appears, I think, just below my informational only, which I'll show you what it looks like in a second, basically above any of my actual questions that I have for applicants. So I'm going to put this in spot 2 and let's click update question order. And hopefully that should be right there. So now let me preview this application. And this is what the artist would see. So they'll select their medium category, they'll put in their description of material and technique, and then the first actual question they have on the application is this new special term. So in order to submit their application, they have to click yes. Because I only gave them one answer, they can't deselect it or anything. It just is kind of a blockage to say, okay, you have to agree to this in order to submit your application. There's a couple other ways you can do it too, where maybe you have yes and a no answer. And you can go to the event editor and actually use conditional logic so that you would set up in this here, you would set up an additional no answer and then update question. Then I would create a new one that's an informational only type that says, like, if you selected no, you are not eligible. You might explain it a little bit more. And you would enable conditional logic to say, show this question if the special terms question I just created is no. And then I would create that. I would also update the special terms order so it appears in the same order there. Click update. Then I'll go preview the application again. And if I click no, that means I messed up the order a little bit, but it means it says if you selected no, you're not eligible. So you just make sure you have it in the right order, and then that would work that way. So, these are kind of ways that you can set it up so that artists are really seeing the information you want them to see and agree to special terms. You can also do things that say, by selecting yes below, I am stating that I'm at least 18 years old, and that maybe if you're a regional show, you're saying, okay, I'm 18 and I reside in one of these California counties, just for an example. And that would allow the artist to say, oh, I'm not a California resident. I guess I'm not actually eligible to participate. If they had missed that by not reading the event summary, that would be a way to make sure that no one is applying unless they're eligible. So when you do preview the application, just make sure you have everything in the right order and that it's intuitive to use. And you can put it at the top of the application or the bottom, wherever you think is best received by the artist. The third hack we have today is to change the order of the products as they appear to the artist. So this one is more of an organizational or cosmetic tip by nature, but this might be pretty helpful depending on how you use it. So I don't know if you know this, but you can actually change the order that you have of the products in your product editor. You can take this little cursor here by clicking on the arrow, you'd click and hold, and that would change the order, and you can save your products to save that order. Now on the artist side, again, let's go ahead and go to the ZAPP shop or the cart page. So in the checkout process, this particular artist now is officially invited to an event and is going to come purchase their additional products. So you can see here we have a few different products listed, but let's say this artist just wants to pay attention to the booth deposit and pay that deposit now. They're not ready to purchase anything else. This tip kind of comes in because some folks have just a few here, like I have, but some events have several products. They might have dozens of products that they're listing out. And that can get hard for an artist to find the product that they need to purchase in that moment, such as the deposit. So back in the product editor for this event, I'm going to make sure that this deposit, for example, is at the top. So I'm going to click and hold on that and drag it to the top. I'm going to make sure I click Save Products or else it's not going to update the order. And once that's done, if I refresh the page on the artist side, you'll see that the booth deposit is now at the top. So this just makes it easier for this artist in this moment to say, oh, okay, there's the deposit. I can go ahead and add it to my cart. They don't have to go flipping through all these different products to make sure they're paying the right one. Now, you can do this for other reasons. If you want to, maybe you have a lot of products that you want to list from least expensive to most expensive. Maybe you want to list it in groups like we kind of have here, where it's listing the booth options together, and then additional add-ons can be grouped together, and so on and so forth. Maybe it's you have a different art or order of these products at different points in the process. Maybe you originally put booth deposit at the top, but then when you know that it's the time frame artists are going back to purchase their actual booth or additional add-ons, you change up the order so that the booth deposit is now at the bottom and you have the ones they're ready to pay for at the top. So you can kind of customize this as you go along. I know some folks might not actually need to do that or feel the need to do that, but if you are someone like me who's very organizational and process oriented, that might be a nice tip for you to know that you can come in here and order the products when you need to, and you can change up the order at any point. The next tip I have is another organizational one, but it might help you as you work through your application cycle. Let's get into the events management page. So as you may know, and if you don't know this, consider that a bonus tip, you can change what you can see on the event management table by using the table editor. So over here, I went to the event management page and I've got my event listed, and then I clicked on the status of the applications I want to review, or you can also click here and click view all. But if I go to the table editor, which is over here, this lets you set up to 8 fields that you want to be displayed on this table. So you can view different things at once. The max is 8. So as you're clicking through this, you might have to get rid of some in order to display others. But for example, let's say it's, right after the application deadline and you're reviewing the applications, you might want some specific information. So maybe booth number, waitlist number is not important to you, maybe not even email address since that would come later. You just want to know maybe where they're from, so the state, maybe you want their website, selling website, social media links, and their business and studio name. So you can save that, and that will update this table here so that you can swiftly review who's applied, the state that they're from, their website, and their category, and things like that. So you can customize it. This might be useful, when you're reviewing those applications initially. Then let's say it's after the jury, you've got your artist selected and you want to be able to look at your applications in a different way and see different information. So you can come here and maybe the stuff here is not relevant anymore. You can click on booth number and waitlist number. Maybe you want to make sure you can go in and tag folks. That's 5, 6, 7. You can another one, maybe email address, just so as you're communicating with artists, you can refer to their correct email. So you can save that. And that will give you some different things. So you can track their booth numbers. You can start to add tags here and do some different things. So that kind of enables you to look at it from the perspective of after the jury process. And as you know, you can also click into certain applications to view their application questions. But like I said, because you can customize that table, if there's anything on this application that you're looking for as a quick reference, if I go back to the list, you can always check that table editor first to see if there's anything you can more swiftly see that information about. Our next hack is related to the review or the jury process. So if you would like to review applications just as a juror would, what you can do is set yourself up as a juror and log in that way. So as an administrator, you know that you can come in here and review applications by either going to the table, clicking on the ID number like I had just done, and reviewing the applications and the artwork that way. But let me actually get to the right batch here. But if you want to see it, just the artwork, you can also click on View Slideshow. And if you actually go and click this into open in a new tab and see the artwork that way. But if you really want to see exactly what the juror sees, that's why you would set yourself up as a juror yourself. If you go to Jury and Jurors and click on the list, this is a very short list we've got here. I just set myself up as a juror, but if you see your account, if you already have one listed, you can use that username. But if you don't have one, if you click Add New, you would create yourself a username and password, and make sure you give yourself a distinct username, maybe one that has the word juror in it, so you know that it's your juror username, because you'll need that specific username to access the juror side. If I go back to the list here, you'll see that I set myself up with a ZAPP juror account. And then when you log in, so what I'm going to do is I'll log out and log back in. And this time I'm going to use my ZAPP juror username. Then when I log in, that will get me to the jury side, and you'll see it's very more limited than the admin side. And if I, select the categories, then I can start to see the applications, and then I can go in and click on any of them to view. This one doesn't have any images with it. If I click into one, there you go. You can see the images. And you don't have to score. You don't have to leave comments. You don't have to do anything a juror would do, but this can help you go through it and review it. Maybe it also helps you see what kind of information you want to end up removing from the juror side, in which case you would log in as an administrator and, let's say, hide the names or set up different things to allow the jurors to see certain parts of the application. But this lets you come in here and, these are some kind of dummy images, but you can come in here and review the images that way. And then kind of a bonus tip we have is that if you want, you can actually log in as both an admin and a juror at the same time. But the caveat is that you need a different browser to log in. So you can't use the same browser. If I were to log in on Chrome here, which is what I'm using, as both an admin and a juror, it would actually log me out of one of them because it's the same URL, admin.zapplication.org, and it would get confused about what account I'm using. So let's say I were to open up my administrator portal in the juror side, and I can review the jury side of that and all the images. Whereas then in Chrome, I'm logged in as an administrator. That way I can have two views, and that would allow it so that, the admin side, I can look up specific information about that application. I can tag or change the status of that application, but I'm still able to review it as a juror on one browser. And if you have a large enough desktop computer, whatever you're using, you can have those side by side. So for those who like to multitask, also like me, this is a great way to see both sides without having to log in and out of each account every time. The next hack that I have is more of a collection of tips, all related to the event communication tool. So we'll go to Events Communication. And so there's a few different things that you can do here that are pretty unique or special to ZAPP. It makes things nice for emailing folks. And let's go ahead and select my event. Oh, I'm actually logged in as the wrong side. Okay. I need my real administrator account. There we go. So I'll go into communication and go to the event. So the first thing that you can do, as you know, you'll select the status that you want to email these folks of. And then the first thing you can do that's special is emailing tagged or flagged applicants only. So this is nice for excluding groups of people or just including them based on one of the tags you've created. So in this example, let's say I have food trucks that have applied and I want to send them specific information only to them, or I want to email artists some information that aren't going to be relevant to food trucks. So I've tagged all the food trucks that I've had. And then when I come in here, I can say, do I want to filter application statuses further? I can click yes, include or exclude only. So let's say I only want to include food trucks. So I'll say include, and then it'll list any of the tags you've created for applications here. I've only created one tag. Flags are a separate thing. I can click food truck, then click select. And when I compose my email, once it's sent, that means it's only being sent to these two applications that are tagged food truck. And if I want to do it the opposite way, I would just click exclude, and that would email artists minus food trucks. So you can send them their information. And that's just kind of a nice way to organize it. You might also have different uses of that. Maybe if you want to email everyone that has not paid their deposit, in which case you would come here and there's a deposit tag that's automatic when an artist purchases a deposit. And you can say to exclude anyone that purchases a deposit with that deposit tag. And then that would mean you're emailing everyone who has not purchased their deposit. So that's how you use that function. The second tip we have in the email tool is to make sure you can use, if you want to use the templates. So the templates allow you to kind of save information or save verbiage for emails beyond just the current email you're creating. ZAPP also has some set templates for you if you are new to it, or if you kind of just don't want to start from the beginning of some verbiage, you can click on the ZAPP templates and use the invited, not invited, or waitlist. And then obviously you can customize it however you want. But you can create your own templates by clicking into Edit Templates, and this would create the template editor for you. And as you can see, we don't have anything, but you can go ahead and create your own. Maybe this is your own invited message, and you'll create your own template. So you can, this is the body of the email. I'm going to keep this very short and sweet. And once you've created your email, you click Save. That will add it to the list here. And once I close this window, there we go, it'll be listed under here, and you can click on that and it'll populate the template that you've created into the emailer. So this is nice if you want to be able to save information year over year, because templates will be saved for not just this specific event you're emailing for, but for any event throughout the time you use ZAPP. So you can save those. Another way of using templates is if you want to if you're creating an email that's more of a draft, let's say you're actually drafting this email and you're adding information, you're adding dates, like all those things, and you say, okay, wait, I'm not actually ready to send this email yet. What you can do is you can just copy the information here, go in to edit a template, click create, new template, which is what we've got loaded. This can say, this is your draft. And today's date, whatever, and you can go in and paste that information, and that then kind of creates a draft for you, so that when you save it, you can close that, leave ZAPP, do whatever you need to do, and when you're ready to come back to it, you have that draft available for you, and you can continue to work off of it. Or if you're, want to just add to the draft, then you could come in here and edit that draft. So that's a way that you can use templates as drafts. The other thing you can do that's special in the communication tool is merge certain data into the email. So it will always default to showing your event logo, but you can always turn that off. You can merge your own contact information, so that will be for your event. You can have it show the artist's waitlist number and booth numbers. You can also have it show to the artist their jury scores and comments. This one's not available to me because this particular demo event has not been juried yet, so there's no scores to show. Once you have put that information in, let me go ahead and just fill out these fields. And if I preview that, you'll see it will, this is the text that I entered into the body of the message, but the top will mean that it's auto-populating the artist's application ID number, medium category, name. That's going to always be in every email. But then these are the optional things. So waitlist number, booth number, contact info. This will be the information for your specific event. And again, the logo. So that's what it'll look like when it sends to the artist, and it will fill in the artist's actual name and whatever numbers are associated. So you can also add, attachments to emails, but let's say if you're emailing everyone to announce everyone's booth numbers, you can upload the attachment of the booth map. In addition to the booth number, you can merge that in there so that they know what booth they are assigned to. So that's the communication tool and some tips we have there. Next, I'm going to go over the new features of the booth management tool. So ZAPP's booth management tool is an add-on tool that you can use to organize and assign booths directly on a map that you upload. So recently, which as of May 2nd, we've added new features to this tool to help improve the experience using it. So I won't get into the full demonstration today, but I will go over the tool briefly and talk about the new changes. Before I do that, what I need to do is make sure everyone is in the confirm status. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here. Okay, great. So in the booth management tool, I'll go events booth management. And if you want booth management added to your account, you have to request that it's added, and it's currently free with your current contract. So I'll tell you in a minute how to sign up for that. But in order to see the booth management tool, you'll have to request it from us. And then this one already has one uploaded, but you'll be able to upload a file of your booth map so that it's customized for your event. This one's just a kind of a small demo one I have uploaded already. And I'll go ahead and click Assign Booth because that's the first step for starting to assign things. My cursor here turns into a little plus sign, and I can go ahead and click anywhere to add that pin to the map. And this is where we've got some couple changes. So first of all, in the booth number, that's different. That's the same. So I'll just go ahead and I forget what number this booth was, but I'll go ahead and add it. And I'll select the artist I'm adding it to. And then here, let's actually do the photography one. This is where we've changed up some things. So in the pin style, we've actually added a few different pin styles to make it more customizable. We've basically added an icon for every medium category that we could think of. That might help for you to be able to see visually where you're placing certain different disciplines. And so, for this one, if we're assigning a photography person, we can click on the photography icon. The other thing we did that I think is super helpful is we've added different pin sizes. So some folks have maps that are super large and have a lot of booths. And so on the booth map itself, the booths appear very small, in which case you would need a small pin to be able to assign to that booth. In this case, we have we don't have a lot of booths, so we can use a very large pin. But just know that you can change that now. And of course, I think we have the same colors, so you can assign the colors however you want to mean whatever you want it to mean. And I'll click save, and you'll see it gets added there. But let's say I did want to go and edit and make it a smaller booth or a smaller pin, I can go ahead and do that. So that's helpful for if you have a lot of booths on there, you can make those pins smaller. So that's the first update we made, which is those changes to the pins. The second thing we did was we made it so that you can click on the artist application from the list. So once we assign the booths here, your list will be created at the bottom, and you can actually now click on the ID number. And a little bonus tip here is if you right click and click open a new tab, it'll make it so that you don't leave this page, and you can then click into the new tab. It's kind of a basic internet thing that people might know, but if you didn't know it, there you go. And then you can come to the application. Maybe you need to check on the payments. So you can say, oh, okay, they paid for a corner booth. I'm going to make sure that in my booth assignment, I actually give them, a corner. And you might be organizing corner booths differently or whatever that is. You can edit the pin there. So that's the second thing we did, which was make it so that you can click on that ID number right here. And then the last thing we did to this tool was make it so you can download the booth map. This will download a PDF file of the booth map so you can share it either internally or externally, and it'll have all the pins with their corresponding colors and styles. So if I click download, it will take a minute and it will generate. I'll go ahead and open this file and you'll see we've got the booth map and with all the pins. Now you can't really go in and click on those pins or anything, but it just kind of gives you a good visual look at the different booth assignments. And if you do want a more clickable interactive map, you can make sure you click display booth map to participants, click on view public map. I'm going to open it in a new tab again. And this one gives you an interactive booth map that you can click on the pins to view the artists. The other thing you can do is either share this URL or the PDF itself in the email that you're sending out to artists. You can either add an attachment or just include that URL. So if you want to use the booth map tool, all you have to do is go to the Help Center, click on the add-ons option right here, and then go to the bottom and you'll have the form to fill out to say that you're interested in the booth management tool, and that's currently free. If you forget this process to find this form, you can always just email the ZAPP team and they can send you the form to fill out. We commonly get some questions about reports and how to use them and how to customize reports. So we'll go over that today. And I'll start in the events management section. The first set of reports that you can get are of the application information and the artist information. So go ahead and click on the status of applications you want the info from, or click all. Oops. You can also filter or search for specific applications and then find the reports for those specific apps. And then at the bottom, you'll see here, we've got a few different reports that you can look at. Now, you can download these spreadsheets that we have here in either of these files, CSV, tab, or Excel spreadsheet. I'll click with CSV for now. Download contacts will give you a spreadsheet of artist information. So this is more about the artist, and that's it'll include things like the date that their application was received, the status they're currently in, first and last name, of course, their artist ID, their business name, address, phone number, email, website, social media links, all those kinds of things about the artist. The download answers spreadsheet will give you some of that same basic contact information, but in more, it gives you the answers to the application questions that you've built. So the category they're in, the answers to those questions, the description of materials and technique statement that they have to add if you've made it required. And it will also include things like waitlist number or booth number. If they've been flagged, if their application's been flagged, it'll tell you that in the report. So those ones basically is those, questions to those, or the answers to those questions. And then the PDF report, this one will give you their application. I can actually go ahead and download this one and open it so you can see. It'll just take a second. It will give you their application as basically one per page, very similar to how you view it on ZAPP itself, but it just gives you it in a PDF form. Now, one tip I have here is folks are sometimes looking for a PDF that only is a certain application. Maybe an artist wants a PDF copy of their application. So what you can do is you can actually first just search for that specific artist. And let's just search for mine. All statuses, click search. You'll see now I only have one application listed in my table here. And when I click the PDF report, I get a report that literally only has that one application in there. So that's kind of another tip for how to just download one single PDF. And then, so those are the event management reports, and those are the ones that are accessed here. Another report that you can access is the income breakdown report. That one's under the report menu under income breakdown. This will give you all the transaction information for an artist's purchase, and it's very helpful, and you're likely very used to this report so that you can see who purchased what and when. This is also helpful to run for refund information if you need. We need some transaction information that can be provided by this report. and that's where you would come find it when you need a refund. So you would, filter the report for a specific date range, and then you have some other filter options to be able to run that report of that transaction information. Just to show you what it looks like, I think I can go back a couple months here. That will include some info for me. Click run, and you'll see that kind of report there. And then you can download the results, and that would download the spreadsheet. We also have a couple other reports. I'm not going to get into them because they're not very used as much, but we've got the events communication spam score report that will just tell you the likelihood that some of the emails you've sent out went to spam. And then communication bounce report will tell you if any of the emails that you sent out have been bounced and what emails those are from so that you can rectify those situations. But the really useful ones are income breakdown and then those event management reports that I showed you. Now, I'm going to get into a quick tutorial about merging reports. The thing I'm going to tell you ahead of time is that I'm not a spreadsheet pro as much as I would like to be, but with the help of the ZAPP team, we've created a list of instructions for how to merge two reports, specifically using examples from ZAPP reports. So this process that I'm about to show you or about to kind of show you the outcome of can be used. And when we send out a recording of this webinar, we'll send out those instructions as well so that you can have it as a resource. Everyone has different levels of experience using spreadsheets. So if this is something that's not new to you, then you can just kind of review it with us. But if this is a new process for you, hopefully it's helpful. So, as an administrator, you might have different needs for reports. Maybe you want, in this case that I'm going to be showing you, maybe you want to be able to compare an artist's application answers with the purchases that they've made. Maybe in your application you've said to include a booth request or what they're planning on purchasing, and you want to compare those answers. So if I go into our spreadsheets here, and we're using Google Sheets instead of Excel because that's what we have access to, but the process is pretty similar. And I'm first going to click on, we've got some multiple tabs here, but I'm going to start from the beginning of kind of what this process is like. So what you need to do to merge reports is download the two reports that you need. The raw answers report was what we have here. That's the event communication report. Or event management report. That's the one that's the download answers. I've downloaded that and I've pasted that information into a Google Sheet, and that's it. This is what you're looking at here. It's this long spreadsheet of all this information, including, a person's booth number, anything that they've answered on the application, and their contact information. Then I went ahead and I downloaded the income breakdown report. And so this is the raw data from that. I pulled it for all time, and I just went through and grabbed every transaction that was made, and I downloaded that. Then what I did, which I'll actually show you an alternate version of, I separated out the income breakdown report between two different product types, or a few different product types. The first one we have here is just the booth, anyone that purchased a booth product type. Those are all that we have here. And then I separated out everyone that had either an electric product type, that's over here, or an other product type. This might mean other things for you if you've selected different product types, maybe deposit or something like that. But real quick, just to show you an alternate way, in order to get these reports based on product purchased, you can actually just filter by product purchase. So if you go to the table, go to filter applicants by, click on products, purchase products, then you can say instead, okay, I want to actually just anyone that purchased electric, you search for that. You've got the results. Then you can download the answers spreadsheet, and that will match up the answers spreadsheet that you're seeing here. This one's actually the income breakdown report, but that's how you would pull it for products purchased. You can just kind of pull that. Okay, so we have all of this raw information. Now is the time where we're ready to merge the booths. And I'm not going to get too much into this process because it is a little lengthy, but like I said, we'll send you the information. But if we go to this merge booth purchase, what I did was I basically created a new spreadsheet in a new tab, and I pasted the raw answers report and basically just pasted the columns that I actually want the information about. I left any columns that I really didn't care about. And so I pasted it in here, and then I created two new columns, one for booth information, booth purchases, and one for anything else that they purchased. And you'll see we've got the booth as green and the other as yellow. And this is where it'll pull information from. So let's start with this one. The booth column is going to pull from this booth report, income breakdown report. And I wanted to pull the description. So I want to find out what the artist actually purchased, not just the booth type, but like what did they actually purchase? Did they purchase a single booth or a double booth? And that's going to pull from the description. And the description is what you put in the product editor of what that product is that you're selling. So, I put that in here, and just for your sake, I made it green. And then when I come to my merged report, I created a new column for this information. To pull the information from that previous spreadsheet, we put in a formula. And the formula is what's going to help you match this particular artist that you're seeing here in this row with the same artist, but on the income breakdown report. And then take that information from the income breakdown report and put it into this column on this new report here, so that the product purchased is for that specific artist. So the formula, again, we'll put in the information, but this is the formula that's used, and it's kind of saying it's having the spreadsheet look up information in one spreadsheet, match it with the spreadsheet you're using, and return the information that you want from that first spreadsheet into here. And then this is repeating the same process over here, but instead of the booth one, it's the electric one. And we're trying to figure out, did anyone purchase any additional products? And if so, which products? And so here you'll see that some of them are NA, and that's because they did not purchase any additional products. But if they did, it would tell you what they purchased. So again, this is a pretty lengthy process. Well, it's not lengthy, but it's a little bit complex in how you might write it. But because we're going to be providing you with these instructions and this formula, what you have to do is just use the same formula, but put in the specific information that pertains to your spreadsheet, and we'll help you, identify what parts of the spreadsheet you're looking for. You can also do this in the manual way, which is taking some of these raw reports, sorting them in a specific order so that both reports are listed by application ID number, for example. And if you have the application ID number in order so that it matches up per spreadsheet, you can copy and paste the additional columns or information that you need. But the formula process that we have here actually makes it so that you're not accidentally pasting wrong information for a specific artist. Again, that might have been kind of lengthy, but I hope it kind of give you an idea of that you can actually customize reports depending on what you need, and you can take what we give you in ZAPP and use it for your own purpose. We do have these instructions that we will send to you so that you can look up and use it on your own. And this concludes our webinar for 8 hidden hacks using ZAPP. I hope that no matter your experience with ZAPP, you've learned something new and were reminded about things that you can do to take your organization to the next level. If you have any more in-depth questions, you can contact us. Thanks again for joining us, and be sure to join our next webinar next month.